Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com. This update is taken from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter @ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing your weekly local industry update. Now, next week's LMS member call is going to be April 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern, and this week we've got a good week. Quite a few different things for a weekly update, some good tips to go over, and quite a bit going on inside the Facebook group. But just to tell you a little bit about what we're going to be talking about this week is, well, a little bit about Yellow Pages and the death of the Yellow Pages. Mike Blumenthal has given us some really good analysis on the Yellow Pages and who really is advertising there anymore. Facebook graph search is now passing some keyword data, which is very relevant for search marketers. Some Google Alerts, or the tool Google Alerts that we've known and used for quite some time, to talk a little bit about why it's still broken and what we want to see a little bit in the future. Apple as well, and what is their interest that they have in mapping you indoors. Some professionals and exactly with what they are saying in regards to social in SEO and whether it applies or not. A good majority of people say it doesn't. And what is that all about? A Yelp study. Yelp's got a couple of new tools that are out as well, and some data that's provided from them, and a dollar amount of exactly how much money they're going to bring a local business even with a free listing. And just some phone number aspects, or phone number advertising for AdWords, and some additional stuff that we're going to be talking about. And this week's for our tips. For a local business tip, last week we talked about videos and 5 key videos that every local business should get in the next 3 months. And this week I'm going to talk about one of those key videos and some key elements to put that video together. And next week we'll talk about video number 2 and just some easy different ways that business owners and marketers should be thinking about to put together some quick videos. Last week's local internet marketing tip, we talked about client expectations of under-promising and over-delivering. And this week I want to talk about don't undervalue yourself. Stick to your price and service. Now, there's a few things going on inside the LMS member Facebook group that you may want to take a look at. Again, Tisha has been very active in that group. She's offered some very good Pinterest aspects. And there's some follow-up to my client situation that I had talked about. Josh came in and said some comments, and get in there and start to share some of your thoughts on the posts that are on there, or ask questions. LMS members are always eager to answer your local internet marketing questions. So I'd mentioned this week's local business tip. Video. And video is a piece of media that's very important for businesses. We talked about the 5 different types of video that can be created for businesses, and one of those being a testimonial video. And a testimonial video is really, it's just a video of your top customers saying a few good things about you. And there's just different thoughts and of pulling this together, and just certain elements that are important and other things that aren't. And I just want to talk a little bit about that. You know, nothing that I'm really going off of, no bullet points or anything like that. Just very simple videos that are going to be effective. And a testimonial video is a good piece of content that could be housed on a website. It could be housed on your YouTube channel, your Facebook channel. It's content that could be shared on a regular basis, whether it be a monthly basis or a quarterly basis through your social channels, Facebook, Google+, Twitter. It's also a piece of content that can be put together and included in other video presentations. You can take snippets from it and add it to a sales presentation. So you can hash this content up in a lot of different ways when you've actually taken the time to collect good testimonials. Putting that content into a particular sales video, or even putting it onto offline material such as a DVD or a little thumb drive, and handing that out at particular trade shows, or having that played back at a particular trade show. So a piece of content that you create video, we use it for search marketing purposes. Search marketing is getting you to the top of Google. Well, this piece of content is obviously something that can be used in a lot of different ways. It's an extremely valuable piece. To put a dollar amount on the value that it truly has, a good testimonial video for a business is very difficult to put, because it is something that can be used for years on end. And so taking the time to figure out the right people to give a testimonial, and what are the key things that you want them to say, are very important steps. And one thing that we know about video is light and sound. Very, very important. The video you're watching right now, I am lit. The sound is not very good because my lavalier mic that I normally have, the battery is dead, so we're working off what's called an omnidirectional microphone. It's not the best audio, but when you've got light on a subject, it really changes the dynamics of the video. You can take an iPhone with a little lens and add the right light to it, and it is a very, very good video. Light is extremely important. And sound, having that microphone. Being able to pick people up very, very well. You don't want to get that echo sound. Another thing of getting a testimonial is when you put the video together, you don't want to have one person talking for 2.5, 3 minutes. A testimonial video should not really be that much longer than 2 minutes, and you want at least 3 people on it, but that would be nice to have 10 people in 2 minutes and just get anywhere from 10 to 20-second clips from them. And when you get a testimonial, you've got to coach the individual that's leaving a testimonial. Coaching meaning people are going to get nervous behind a camera. They always do. And you're putting them onto the spot. So once you've asked somebody their permission to get behind a camera and leave you a testimonial and to coach them, the first thing you want to do is get them to say their name, the business, because you're most likely doing a business-to-business transaction, if they are involved with a business, or it is a business-to-business transaction, and their location. Location is something that's important for most businesses, whether you're a national business or a local business. With location, you can still talk about local jargon and identify that. People could always relate to location in different ways, whether the location aspect being, oh, well, if they can help the person in Philadelphia, they should be able to help me in Chicago. Or, oh, they're from Morton Grove, well, that's cool, so am I. There's definitely different ways to be able to relate to that. As well as feelings. Ask the individual to state how your business made them feel. People are going to utilize a whole variety of different feeling words, but remember that people don't buy a product or a state. They really buy an anticipated feeling that they're going to get from that product or state. It's as simple as that. And so having testimonials that share people's feelings, that's really adding a very, very strong human element to it. And then also ask them, what did your product or your service, what did it do for them? How did it make their lives easier? Remember, people buy because they typically want to overcome a particular challenge. They have a problem that they need to be solved in most cases. And when a buyer talks about how a product or a service has ultimately helped them, for a lot of different buyers, that's going to answer and overcome a lot of your buying objections that you would come across during the sales cycle. So those are just some elements that you can coach an individual to leave a good, solid testimonial for your business. Definitely remind them to smile, and just think about again the feelings that they receive from that product or service. You could really get testimonials with any type of equipment that's out there, whether it be an iPhone or a webcam, or a digital SLR or a video camera. Some of the challenges with video camera is getting it digitized and getting it onto a computer. But keep in mind again that lighting is very important, and whenever possible, get a microphone. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was identifying who. It's nice just to go out and get anybody to leave a testimonial. But through video and through audio, we've got different elements working with us, our ability to influence human behavior. And that's what we do as marketers and in sales. We try to influence human behaviors in different ways. So with video, we have our physiology, we have our tonality, and of course the words that I'm saying. Well, each one of those three things represent a different weight in influencing that human behavior. And it works out that our physiology represents about 55% of the weight of influencing human behavior. So there's certain movements, there's certain elements, there's very subtle subconscious movements in anybody's face at any given point in time that when transmitted, especially through high quality video equipment onto a screen, are transpired. If somebody's having a bad day, you're going to hear it a lot of times subconsciously in their voice. When people could overcome a lot of that by thinking and putting themselves in a certain state, whether we want to call that meditation or relaxation or brain plasticity or whatever, it comes down to us getting ourselves into a certain state and ultimately being able to make that delivery. So having said that, that's going to come to the conclusion of the update, and we are going to move into, our tips, and move into our update. And you know, I want to make note there. I was talking about physiology and the changes and how subtle little things of our state of mind can change. If you noticed, I got off track. The reason being, somebody walked into my office. They don't know that we're sitting here recording. It is a public business, and well, they're trying to sell something, so him trying to get my attention during this recording is surely not going to motivate me to buy. Alright, so let's get into our weekly update. First thing I'm going to talk about, actually, if you could just give me just 1 minute. Okay. Mike Blumenthal had a really interesting post. He talked about the annual, the annual death print of Yellow Pages, the Death Watch, and he just started to take a look, and he's got some interesting numbers here of all the listings for attorneys. What did he say? Well, first off, he goes on and says most of the listings for attorneys are virtual offices or attorneys that are more than 50 miles away. They're more regional players and national players, and this trend tends to follow suit for a lot of the different categories among Yellow Pages, especially when you're looking at plumbers and whatnot. What does that mean? It means there's no local businesses in there. It's ironic because that's what Yellow Pages ultimately was founded and predicated on. Local businesses. And 40% of the attorney ads that he's finding are for private investigator attorneys. Another 40% are for disability attorneys, and 20% are for actual local lawyers. So 2 out of 10 listings are for local businesses. 80% are for national or regional, at least what he was looking at and what he was able to find across the board. When I pulled out my yellow pages, it was a similar trend. It's interesting on what's happening, and so the question is why are these existing ads still there? Well, they're just larger businesses. Do they really just not measuring the value that they have in these ads, or are they doing this out of habit? But local businesses have already clued in and just not renewing their yellow page ads. Facebook search is now passing keyword data off to webmasters. It's definitely something that you may want to check out, especially as Facebook is turning into a search engine. What's going to be interesting to recognize is Facebook data versus Google search for local business. That's definitely an area that I'm going to take a look further into, and what types of keywords are people looking for, especially now that Facebook has trained us to do searches based off of friends that friends like. So does that mean that keyword data and keyword search is going to be driven by that? Google Alerts, great little tool that's out, says it's still broken. It sucks because it is a great tool. I have used it for years, and it's really not just out there picking stuff up. But Google does say that they are working on it. They just don't have a time as to how long it's going to be. Apple buys an indoor location company. What are they up to? They want to map you. They want to map you in conventions. They want to map you in the mall. They want to map you at theme parks, you know, to keep families together at theme parks, to be able to find your friends at certain conventions, for you to be able to find that product in that massive Walmart department store. This has been a battle that Google's at. Google has said that they've claimed roughly 10,000 buildings have been photographed in the United States and worldwide, and now Apple is up into this as well. So there's a study that's come out, and a bunch of internet marketers say there's absolutely no impact of social at all on ranking. 12% of internet marketers. Not that much, 12%. That means that there's 88% that say there's a little bit. But that 88% breaks down into 42% say, yeah, there's a little bit of influence. And 46% say, yes, there definitely is. Where would I lie? Well, I would probably lie in the 42% that say that there's a little bit of influence. But I could make an argument to be placed in the 12% of none. And I could also make an argument to be placed in the 46% of yes. Because asking the question, does social impact search? Well, it's not going to impact all search terms. And undoubtedly, it's absolutely going to impact certain search terms. But the majority of search terms are going to fall into the little bit of influence. And that may or may not change over time. What I mean by that is social absolutely has to have some impact on ranking content. The goal of a search engine, plain and simple, is mission. Its one purpose in life is to provide the most relevant result for that searcher. So if a search engine knew exactly what the searcher was looking for and knew exactly how to find exactly what it was looking for, that would be the perfect search engine. Well, that's not going to exist because they have to give us 10 results to begin with. That in itself is an indicator that it's a hit and miss aspect. You start to throw in the details of personalization. Well, how can you have personalized search results without a social layer on top of that? How do you define what's the most relevant piece of content if somebody's never seen it before? Well, there's a certain few things that can be said about relationships and about the communication. There's things that we know for cultural differences. People in certain areas eat the similar types of foods, plain and simple. People in certain areas, globally, regionally, nationally, share different trends in clothing. We also share trends in shelter. Well, those are three elements, three aspects that are fundamental needs of human beings. This is all based off of the cultural effect of us being closer together. Well, that defines our content. Our content, when we get outside and we go outside in the door, is our culture, is our region, is our town, our village, our home, our country. And this is all driven by the people. And so that in itself is a very strong argument that content created by people is also driven by people on the internet. Well, by that argument, social therefore has to have an impact on search. If it doesn't, then that search engine is most likely going to fail. These are just my 2 cents and my thoughts on the social aspects of search. It's been something in such a gray area, but I put great emphasis on it. I'm a firm believer in it, and I don't believe that social media marketing can stand on its own, or even mobile marketing can stand on its own. It's all a component of marketing that's got to work together. So Yelp has done some good studies, where the study is indicating that they drive real revenue to small businesses. They took a look at almost 5,000 businesses, and the average result was that a local business is going to gain $8,000 in annual sales, an additional $8,000 in annual sales, simply by claiming and managing a free Yelp listing. Think about that for a moment. $8,000 in increased revenue by having a free claimed listing, according to Yelp. That's a big claim. But then they go on and they take a look at other categories. Categories like automotive, for example. This would be mechanics. Can have an increase of $39,000 a year. Health and medical, $20,000 increase. But the big one being local services. This would be home improvement types of services. Plumbers, electricians, carpenters, probably even accountants. $36,000 increase in revenue just by having that exposure. That's definitely a network. If you have clients located especially in the United States, definitely a channel that you want to be managing as an internet marketer and bringing your clients of new business. I assure you, they will be happy. So on that note, Yelp has created an estimation tool to help businesses recognize how much money they are getting. And finally, for our last update of the week, phone numbers are no longer allowed in Google AdWords text ads because they are forcing people for the click-to-call feature. This is an indicator that mobile is now an 800-pound gorilla. And now I'm going to move into a tip for a local internet marketing agency.